welcome to NOSH.
It's
Hi.
Hi, welcome to NOSH.
Okay.
Why don't you explain what all
Let's
the food
introduce
dishes
the
are?
food.
Yeah.
Okay. This is Shirazi salad. Oh, this is matbucha.
These damn Persians.
This is hummus. What is this? Kebab?
That's like some sort of steak thing.
Some sort of steak thing.
This is korma sabzi.
Wow.
This is kebab.
I'm
Kubia.
vanilla.
Wait, do you guys like this?
This is so good.
Sabzi is so good.
It's on Tadiq.
Wait, is there any left?
Tadiq is the crispy rice, right? Oh my god.
Come to my Shabbat dinner tonight for more. I am.
Tell about your family, Aaron.
Yeah. Aaron, Darren, Baron.
My maternal grandfather, so my mom's dad, is from Iran, but he left when he was 1 year old. In the first wave of Persian immigration to Israel, and then like my maternal grandmother, my mom's mom, was a part of the yeshiva, so she was always in Israel for years back when it wasn't Israel. And then my dad's family is Iran.
Wait.
Thank you. August 2nd, 1964. Just kidding. That's when my dad's birthday is. So 1979, Islamic Revolution in Iran. So the Reza Shah, the king of Iran, was overthrown that year by Ayatollah Khomeini, who had a more traditional style government that he wanted to take over in Iran, because Iran was very progressive at the time, like looked like America.
I voted for Obama.
I would have voted for Obama 4 times. So yeah, my dad was 15 when the Islamic Revolution started, and he lived in Iran for 5 years under Ayatollah Khomeini. And he used to go to a Jewish school in Iran, but it was becoming, progressively more towards, going towards Islamic standards. It was just becoming a more traditional society as a whole. So women were not allowed to go out and not wear hijab and stuff like that. So just becoming way more traditional. And a lot of Jews were getting smuggled out of Iran to, find religious freedom and not really be persecuted, because it's kind of hard growing up for the first 18 years of your life under seemingly complete freedom. Obviously, the Shah wasn't perfect. He was also kind of corrupt, but it's life. So they decided to escape in '84 at that point, when my dad was 19. 19, yeah. So he went with his little brother, and they went through HIAS, which is an organization that brings a lot of Jewish refugees out of the country. So they got smuggled to HIAS, but they paid off some guy named, what was his name, Jamshid, some Persian guy, not Jewish. They took him out of the country. So my dad, his younger brother, and a bunch of their friends went out of Iran at that time. So they went across the desert. So here, we'll do some geography. Right, so let's say that this is Iran, right?
Okay.
To the left of Iran is Iraq. Mm-hmm. They were engaging in a war at that time. Then over here is Afghanistan. Below that is Pakistan. Afghanistan and Russia were engaging in some war. So basically on both sides of Iran, they were engaging in war. So when my dad escaped, they had to go through a desert, since they were going from the south of Iran. They used to live in Tehran, then they moved down towards the south because that was becoming, a hot spot for the war between Iran and Iraq. And then the place where my dad moved in the south, I'm forgetting the exact town name, but that was basically the building like right next to him got bombed like the week before he decided to leave. So that was sort of like the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. So he decided to leave, and he got smuggled through the desert somewhere over here. And they had to be careful because they had to go through a lot of different checkpoints. And basically, my dad likes to describe it, in the Middle East, you can just pay your way out of anything. So they kept on going through individual checkpoints, and Jamshid would give some money, they get through. They'd give some money, they get through. They might haggle there, here and there, until they got to one checkpoint where the officers sort of just told them, "We're not letting you through." And the goal was to get to Pakistan. And at that point, they had already been driving through a desert for 8 hours in the back of a Jeep, lying face down, because they didn't want to be seen. Because as you can imagine, being on both sides with war, it wasn't necessarily the safest location to be getting smuggled out of. They got to one location, and the guard just sort of told them, "No, you guys don't have enough money. You have to go back." And at that point, my dad had been traveling for 8 hours, and he was kind of freaking out because he was 19 at the time. He didn't want to go back to Iran because you can imagine not so pleasant things would happen if he went back. So they put him in jail for a night, with his whole group that was smuggling. And this guy Jamshid has apparently done this countless times. So he was telling the guards, he's like, oh yeah, you guys should bring us some fruit. You guys should treat us better. Well, like, what is this? What is this hospitality? Like, he was very clearly screwing around with the guards that imprisoned them overnight, which my dad thought was extremely weird, but he put his trust in this guy because, you know, he didn't really have many other options at this point. It finally got to a point where Jamshid was just screwing around with the guards so much, and they developed a relationship that he just sort of told him, like, okay, let's decide on this price, no more negotiations. And the guard was like, you know what, fine. So they got out, and they got basically a little barricade to follow them around through the desert, so they didn't have to go through any more checkpoints until that point, until they got to, like, right at the border of Pakistan. And Jamshid got out of the car and he said, okay guys, this is where I'm gonna leave you. I need you to run as fast as you can. So they apparently ran like right across the border for like a minute or something until they got there. Then they were in Pakistan, they were met by the agency, and they were in Pakistan for 25 days while they were getting their Austrian papers and paperwork and passports developed. So they spent 25 days in Pakistan. My dad didn't really have too many good things to say because they weren't really in the nicest area. A funny story that he likes to tell is that in Pakistan, apparently it was like customary to burp after like meals to show that you enjoyed it. And my dad was 19 and he was with his friends and they just got out of Iran, so you can imagine that they were pretty hyper. My dad's like somewhat like me, if any of the viewers know me. So he was at a dinner with some Pakistanis and he just kept on burping, you know, to screw around because he thought it was wildly hilarious, which like I think is kind of funny. And then it got to a point where the guy who was hosting like hit his fist on the table and was like, enough, no more burping, it's too much. Nothing bad happened, it's just a funny story. So then they got out of Pakistan, they went to Austria, and my dad lived in Austria for 2 years with the guy who actually started Colbeh, the restaurant that we're eating at right now. And they were in the same little bunker, and Austria is very fun, and my dad has a lot of very wild, crazy stories. Because like I said, going from Iran where like religious persecution was going on to partying in Austria is a very big upgrade. And then after 2 years, they were sort of given the option, hey, do you want to go to Israel or do you want to go to America? Most Persian people did go to America. Not so many went to Israel for, you know, a number of reasons. Israel's not like as traditional as Iran, and that was like important to, you know, Persian Orthodox Jews. And a lot were just going to America because they already had family there. My dad didn't. He came to America with $200 to $300 to his name, but he still tried to make it work as well as he did. So he ultimately decided on a whim, like, I'm gonna go to America. So he went to America. But they lived in Brooklyn for a couple years until my dad was able to get on his feet, and then he, you know, lived across a bunch of the boroughs, and then he went on a plane one day to Israel and he met my mom on the plane. Now,
Sorry.
so that is his story in a nutshell.
Wow.
That was really beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Now we're eating Persian food in the Brooklyn Center.
Right.